In a remote African village surrounded by mountains and rivers, a woman named Nolitha lived a life of struggle and torment. Her story was one that was whispered among the villagers late at night, a tale of pain, darkness, and hope. Nolitha's mother, Mama Deliwe, was a Sangoma, a traditional healer with immense power. But with that power came a secret. The cost of her abilities was Nolitha's life itself. Unbeknownst to Nolitha, she had been marked as the sacrifice the day she was born. From a young age, Nolitha was haunted by shadows. As she grew older, these shadows turned into demons that tormented her day and night. They whispered vile things in her ear, pushed her towards a path of self-destruction, and drove her to drown her pain in alcohol and meaningless relationships. Nolitha's nights were filled with darkness, and her days became a blur. She felt trapped, as if there was no escape from this life that was consuming her soul. One night, Nolitha had a vision of her mother standing in a river of blood, chained by the spirits of their ancestors. In the vision, her mother cried out, "You are the chosen one. You must be set free." Nolitha woke up in a cold sweat, and for the first time in years, she felt a glimmer of hope. She knew there was only one place she could go for help. She traveled to the nearby village where she had heard about a powerful pastor, known for his ability to fight against dark spirits. His name was Pastor John, and he led a small but mighty church that many said was a place of miracles. Nolitha, desperate and broken, arrived at the church with nothing to lose. Pastor Anosike stood before her, his eyes filled with compassion. He laid his hands on Nolitha's head and began to pray. As he prayed, Nolitha felt an incredible warmth wash over her, and suddenly she was no longer in the church. She had ascended into the spiritual realm, a place beyond the physical world. There, she saw the demons that had tormented her, grotesque, monstrous creatures with glowing red eyes and sharp claws. They were the spirits that had been attached to her bloodline, the very same ones that had taken her mother's soul. Nolitha knew this was the battle she had to fight. With every step she took, Nolitha felt the weight of her ancestors' pain. The demons lunged at her, hissing and screaming, but she did not falter. With a newfound strength, she raised her hands, and in them appeared a sacred spear, glowing with divine light. Nolitha fought fiercely, stabbing each demon, one by one. As she did, she could feel years of pain and suffering being lifted from her shoulders. The final demon, the one that held the chains around her mother's spirit, stood before her, larger and more terrifying than the rest. It snarled, "You are nothing. You were meant to be our sacrifice." But Nolitha, with tears streaming down her face, drove the spear through its heart, and the creature exploded into 1,000 pieces. Nolitha awoke back in the church, Pastor Anosike still praying over her, his face bathed in sweat. The air around them was still, and Nolitha felt lighter, free from the torment that had plagued her for so long. She looked up and saw a vision of her mother smiling down at her, no longer chained, finally at peace. Tears of gratitude fell from her eyes as she whispered, "Thank you." Nolitha had broken the chains that bound her bloodline, not just for herself, but for every generation to come. Nolitha returned to her village, no longer the broken woman she once was. She became a beacon of light for others who had lost their way, helping those who struggled with the same darkness she had overcome. The villagers spoke of her transformation, and the name Nolitha became synonymous with hope, strength, and redemption. Her story became a reminder that no matter how deep the darkness, there is always a light that can guide you home.